I think the interpretation from Iran is clear for us Iranians, the general population, the government, because this type of rhetoric, this type of this narrative, and this message has been clear from the beginning of the revolution. Iran is a country of resistance, and what Mr. Ghalibaf has said was also echoed by the late martyred Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei. A couple of years ago, he mentioned that the days of hitting and running away are over. If you are going to slap, you will get slapped back harder. So this is something Iranians are familiar with, and I think the world is also now familiar with this. It's not only in terms of Mr. Ghalibaf's words. Um, from the day that even Haj Qasem, the late Haj Qasem Soleimani, got martyred in Iraq, Iran responded by hitting American bases effectively and aggressively. It's the same that goes for Mr. Ghalibaf's statements. If Iran gets hit, Iran will hit back. And that's a clear message coming from the top leadership of Iran, coming from the military apparatus as well.
And the US says it struck 90 targets inside Iran. So from Iran's perspective, so how will this impact Islamabad MOU?
Well, the 90 target, the so-called 90 targets that Iran has hit. First of all, rhetoric usually comes with lies, with exaggeration, and Iran also brought out a statement through the IRGC stating that they have hit 85 targets in the Middle East in retaliation to American strikes. Therefore, this is a tit for tat that obviously undermines the broader parameters and framework of the MOU. And this is the detriment to Trump's political career, his image in front of the world. And again, I mentioned this before, if he wants to continue this path of conflict, Iran is better prepared. Its geographical leverage is still there. Iran hasn't moved from its geography. Iran has geo-economic dominance with the Strait of Hormuz. Iran still has hands to play in the Bab el-Mandeb. And obviously, this kind of rhetoric will undermine the MOU, bring the world closer to economic failure, to economic distress. And if Donald Trump wants to be remembered for being the president of war, if he wants a Nobel Prize for war, incompetence, miscalculation, and biting off more than he can chew, he can continue in this rhetoric and again receive strategic failure on the battleground even. Therefore, I think Iranians understand this, but in order to take diplomacy forward, the rhetoric needs to change. But Iranians have been insulted by Trump in the last 2 days. He doesn't have any kind of political etiquette. He's a morally corrupt man. He even speaks with the same tone and bad language about his allies, the likes of the Europeans and Spain. He's again talking about taking Greenland over, and he's calling Iran Japan.
Ali, the IRGC has retaliated by targeting US military facilities in Kuwait and Bahrain. So how do you interpret the future of peace deal if these fire exchanges continue?
Obviously, any kind of conflict, any kind of kinetic action does cause concern for peace deals, for diplomacy. But this is the path that the Americans have chosen from the start. IRGC reacting on Kuwait and Bahrain is also justified in the sense that the Gulf countries have to understand that they have accumulatively and over an accumulative period of time helped the American strategy in the Middle East, helped them in imposing sanctions against Iran, literally helped them by help the Americans having bases set up in their countries to attack Iran. Therefore, any kind of violations in the Strait of Hormuz, in the Persian Gulf, will only serve American interests in the short run, but cause for concern for Iran. It's a cause for concern for Iran. So Iran will ultimately retaliate. If you take an analogy of Iran being a house and there being a pond or a waterway or a river in front of that house called the Strait of Hormuz, called the Persian Gulf, called the Gulf of Oman, the neighbors of Iran, the neighbors of this neighborhood, were helped the thieves or the aggressors attack Iran's house, kill the father of the house, meaning the supreme leader, kill its children like the children of Minab. And do they expect that Iran will stand back and let these waterways be a point of aggression, to let these waterways be used against Iran? Iran has stated that it's a matter of national security, an existential matter to keep safe passage in these straits and keep administrative control. They have been courteous enough not to charge tolls on these Gulf Arab countries and other countries trying to take safe passage in the Strait of Hormuz, but they have to ensure their national safety and security to make sure that these attacks, this illegal war of aggression, is not repeated. Their house is not attacked again. Therefore, if countries want to use the administrative line that has already been set up by Iran, that is already that has already worked over the last couple of months. And again, Iran has been courteous enough to provide the safe passage, but with administrative control, without a tolling system for now, just to make sure these illegal wars of aggressions are not repeated. Yes, it does undermine peace only because the other party on the other side of the table, namely the Americans, serving Israeli interests, undermining the MOU, undermining point number 5 in the MOU. And if that continues, you are going to see kinetic action and conflict in the Middle East, in the Strait of Hormuz.
So President says the US will respond to Iran at a 20-1 ratio, so while also claiming Tehran wants a deal. So can diplomacy survive amid such military escalation and public rhetoric?
Obviously, with such public rhetoric, with such matters of threat from the mouth of the so-called leader of the free world, who calls Iran Japan, who seems not to be mentally there, who threatens his European allies, who insults Spain, who wants to take over Greenland again. This kind of rhetoric is cartoonishly evil and dangerous. And if it wasn't from such a nuclear state, it would be quite funny. But it only serves to bring the global economy to a breaking point. Therefore, I don't. The rhetoric and threats are also mentioned in the MOU to threaten the country. The other side of the party, meaning Iran, is a violation of the MOU. It has been clearly stipulated in the MOU, and Trump's rhetoric has been aggressive from the days of signing the MOU. That's a clear violation of the MOU, and I think that Donald Trump, if he wants to continue this path and these kind of rhetorics and these kind of actions in the Middle East, he will not be remembered for a president of peace. He will of course not achieve the Nobel Peace Prize that he wants so much. He will be remembered for a man of incompetence, a man who strategically failed. It was an operation of epic failure rather than epic fury. And the whole world is going to be blaming him for the economic disaster that he's brought about. I think it is only wise and smart if the Americans still do continue the path of diplomacy, because the path of kinetic action only emboldens Iran, because Iran has a geo-economic dominance. Its geography is placed in such a way that it can make strategic gains. Iran still has cards to play. And regarding the ratio that he mentioned, 1 to 20, Iran struck 85 times in the last 2 days, and America struck, I think, 90 times. So if he understands math, that is practically a 1-to-1 ratio. And Iran knows how to proportionally respond as well.
So with the funeral of the late Supreme Leader taking place alongside renewed US strikes, so how do you see these developments shaping Iran's domestic politics, regional strategy and future negotiations with Washington?
I think with the funeral processions, for Iranians, the average Iranian on the street, they knew that the commemoration and the processions of the late Imam Ali Khamenei, rahmatullah alayhi, would be massive, because they have been turning out for 110, 20 nights every night, holding their flags and being on the street. So this human wave of support has been apparent for the last couple of months, the last 3, 4 months. Uh, What's been even more surprising for Iranians and gives more legitimacy to the Islamic Republic and its regional status, and gives a bigger mandate to the Islamic Republic and its regional status and forms of retaliation, is the immense turnout in Iraq. The body of the late Imam Khamenei was supposed to be moved back to Mashhad, I think 10 a.m. today, but it was postponed to 2 p.m. because the Iraqi population continued to want to mourn the late Imam Khamenei. And this has been a big surprise to the global population, to the media, to the populations in the area. So Iran has a stronger mandate with these processions. Its regional power, its regional support is also apparent, is and on display by the turnout in Iraq. Iran has popular support in Bahrain, in Lebanon, in Yemen, and it still hasn't used all its cards. Iran has more cards on the table if kinetic action is pursued. And these cards will give it stronger diplomatic leverage as well, despite the saber rattling and statements from Donald Trump. We all know that the American military equipment, their Patriot missile stocks, and so on are depleting. So I don't think America has the muscle to go through the same 40-day war that it had. It's all basically rhetoric and saber rattling. A lot of it is just a bluff game.